Hey y'all, wanted to make another video with some details that I hadn't really explained previously, and that I think you might find interesting. The first detail is I showed the flip phone in Bridge Guy's pocket, but I haven't explained how I found that image. Um, so let me explain that. I've known for a long time that Ron Logan is the bridge guy, and Ron Logan made a phone call at 2:09 at the area of the High Bridge Trails, and uh, and then walked across the bridge immediately after the phone call. So I finally had an epiphany. I finally realized, oh, he has a cell phone on him. He's got his flip phone somewhere on him. And I realized it wouldn't have been in the fanny pack because here's the knife, this white looking thing. It's reflecting in the sun, and the gun. He's got his hand on the gun. It must have been all black because it's not reflecting at all. And he pulls the gun out seconds later, and so you can see that his hand is reaching into the fanny pack. So it's not going to be there. It's not going to be. These are the binoculars. It's not in this pocket. This is where the water bottle is. So his phone had to be in his pockets, in a pocket. And so I went through the images looking for a flip phone because I knew uh, it had to be in one of his pockets. And sure enough, I came across, there's actually 6 images that show his flip phone really well. And so um, now notice it's in his right pocket. And that's because Ron Logan was left handed. I'm right handed, and I keep my phone in my left pocket because my keys go always gone in my right pocket, and cell phones, came along much later. And so I put it in the other pocket, so not to get, um, you know, scratched or anything by the keys. And so, anyway, I just wanted to explain how I found the image of his flip phone. And once I found this image, I used the dimensions of the water bottle, the 3.5 inch wide, to determine an approximate guess of what his flip phone width should be. And I came up with 2.1 inches wide. And the height was very, very close as well. Well, let me first explain. I didn't know what kind of flip phone Ron Logan had, but I came up with 2.1 inches wide before I figured out what kind of phone he had. And so um, so here's his flip phone. And at first I just assumed it was a Nokia. And I think Nokias are like 3.5, or I'm sorry, 2.3 something, 2.4 inches wide, the Nokia that I thought it was. So I thought, well, it wasn't very close. But after um, a closer examination, I discovered that it's an Alcatel flip phone. And Alcatel flips, their width is 2.19 inches wide. I guessed 2.1. I predicted 2.1. So I was very close. And again, very close in the height as well. So, um, so I just wanted to explain how I went about that process. I didn't I didn't see the image first. I knew he had a flip phone on him, and then I found the image, and then I found what flip phone it was, and it concurred with with what I came up with dimension-wise. All right, enough on that. Next topic is the FBI Ron Logan search warrant. And recently, Bob Mata interviewed Barbara McDonald, and she gave some really good insight into Ron Logan's thinking. And I wanted to kind of share some things that she said. And so when Ron Logan handed Barbara McDonald this FBI search warrant, he didn't let her grab it right away. She tugged at it and he held on to it, and he said he wanted to make sure that he got in. Um, he prefaced the information by trying to belittle it or to sway her. And he said, "You're going to laugh your ass off when you read this. It's just hysterical what they wrote in here. Promise me that as you read this, you're going to call out all the funny things that you read so we can laugh about it together." So he's setting the stage as this is ridiculous and, don't believe anything that's in here. And then he hands it to her and let her read it. And, of course, Barbara McDonald said it's not a particularly funny document. That's a huge understatement. And she meant it as a huge understatement. She said it spells out valid reasons why the FBI thought that he was the killer. The FBI still knows he's the killer. That's why they didn't go to the press conference. That's why there was such a falling out between the FBI and Carroll County and ISP. Because, Carroll County, Liggett, and even Holman, they were convinced. They told Richard Allen, "You have to be guilty of something." They wanted to make him fit the crime instead of the crime fitting him. Barbara McDonald also said he wasn't a very truthful person. There was a lot that he lied about. And there was a lot that he lied about. Even years later, when everyone knew he wasn't in Lafayette, he still continued that lie that, "Oh yeah, during the murders, I was in Lafayette." It's as if, being a psychopaths tend to be more intelligent than the average person, and they're very manipulative. And he just thought if he said that lie enough, people would just believe it. And actually, people did buy into Ron Logan. He was an evil man. I mean, whether you believe he killed the girls or not, he was still an evil man. What he did to women and how he treated them. I know he also killed Abby and Libby. All right, next topic, Judge Gold. Now, I refuse to even show a picture of her because she enrages me. She has been wanting to make the Indiana Supreme Court for many years. She was up for it, I think at least 3 times so far, and has been denied every time. And so she sees this as her best shot at getting a promotion, a big promotion, because Doug Carter is besties with the governor, Eric Holcomb. And if she, in her mind, if she does the bidding of Doug Carter, he will put in a good word with the governor, and that's who selects Supreme Court nominees, is the governor. And so whatever Doug Carter wants, she's going to do. Now, for Doug Carter, this case, his 4-year career really depends on a good outcome of this case, his whole reputation. And um, so unfortunately, um, she's going to do whatever Doug Carter wants, and Doug Carter wants someone convicted, um, so that he can say, yeah, because all these years he's been saying, yeah, we're going to get this guy, we're hot on his trail, um, and you know so with this hearing coming up and all these third party defense names, um, I can probably reliably predict already that, of course, the Odinists aren't going to be allowed as third-party defense, and that's and glad they're not, because they had nothing to do with the crime. But they slipped in Ron Logan at the very bottom after all the Odinist names, and she's going to go ahead and include him as not being able to use him as a third-party defense. I can almost guarantee that, because uh, that's that's what the ISP want. Because by now, law enforcement knows that Ron Logan was the bridge guy, um, and um, so the only way they can convict, they can properly railroad Richard Allen, is if they not allow Ron Logan as a third party defense. And which is completely ridiculous, because Ron Logan was next to the bodies that night. His phone pinged at 8 and 10 p.m. That Ron Logan was at the murder site, and I believe the defense has his cell phone pinging there. Um, and there's a long list of proofs that Ron Logan was the bridge guy. Um, but I would not be the least bit surprised if they prevented Ron Logan from being a third party defense, because they know, law enforcement now that they've arrested the wrong guy, they know that Ron Logan was the bridge guy, and they're just too proud to admit that they arrested the wrong guy. All right, next topic. Now, um, this is going to anger some of you, and let me just put it out there, and I'll explain. The reason I laugh at this is because every time I show this image, people freak out. They think, "You think Mike Patty's the bridge guy?" No, I don't think Mike Patty's the bridge guy, and I've never thought that. And um, I think Mike Patty is this image, that months later they drew this image, and memories had faded when they saw Mike Patty. They um, and uh, now Mike Patty came that evening, was walking around looking for Libby and Abby, and somebody obviously mistook him for um, you know possibly the killer. Um, or months later, their memory had faded, and forgot what time they had saw him walking around looking for his granddaughter. So no, I I don't think that Mike Patty is the bridge guy. I know who the bridge guy is. It was Ron Logan. Um, but these images are nearly identical, and even before they came out with the second sketch, I knew this first sketch was Mike Patty. And it wasn't just obvious to me, it was obvious to others that said that looks a lot like Mike Patty. Um, and I've been kicked off of so many forums, and ridiculed by so many people for stating the obvious. Now, later, finally, they said, well, okay, that first sketch, um, they say a person in the first Delphi sketch is not a person of interest in Libby and Abby's murders. So, um, um, but then they came out with the second sketch, um, and even then they couldn't let go of the first sketch. Doug Carter said, well, if you blend the two together, then then it would be, Richard Allen. Um, not so. Um, but the second sketch, I believe, actually was um, Richard Allen out on platform one. Betsy Blair saw him out there, and it somewhat looks like Richard Allen. Notice the nose. He's kind of got a baby face. And if you did any research at all, you would see at the time he had no facial hair at all. At the time of, if you went on his Facebook page, you would see he didn't have any facial hair. So this, the nose is similar to Richard Allen. Yeah, the hair, I could see she was a little off on the hair, but certainly the baby face made her think he was younger. But yeah, I think that was Richard Allen out on the bridge. Um, it wasn't the bridge guy. It was, you know, Richard Allen was out on platform one, and I put out a video of the timeline, which I encourage you to watch, and that would explain why the bridge guy is not Richard Allen. But I do believe that sketch was a pretty, somewhat close sketch of Richard Allen. But certainly, this blending of the two sketches was ridiculous. All right, the last topic um, that I had was the fact that Brad Holder and Ron Logan were friends. And so this could explain some things. Um, while Ron Logan wasn't part of the Odinist club, he certainly would have learned some things about Odinism from his buddy. Um, and he could have even seen images of, the mimic crime scene, the girls. These girls obviously were just playing and put a branch over top of them and acted like a tree fell on them. But it's possible that Ron Logan had seen Odinist um, images or um, things that Brad Holder had on his Facebook having to do with sticks and whatnot. Um, and I I believe that's why uh, Ron Logan used the sticks, is to try to deflect away from him. Um, I believe he tried to bury the girls. There was digging near the bodies, um, and but the ground was frozen, and so he had time to think when he came back at that night. You know, now what am I going to do? I can't bury them, so I have to come up with another idea. And his idea was, to to maybe make it look like it was some cult activity going on, or some something to deflect away from him. All right, that's all I have, and appreciate your time, and hope I um, said something that was valuable.